Hello and welcome back to the 10th devlog for Blue Sky Aces, a retro World War I flight simulator inspired by the games I played when I was younger. Firstly, my apologies if my voice is a bit rough this week. Unfortunately, I can feel a cold coming on, so hopefully I can get through this without too many issues. The last 2 weeks really seemed to fly by, and while I feel I added some really great improvements to the game, getting the demo release out the door took a little longer than I'd hoped it would. I had aimed to get 4 to 5 days work on new features and content for the full game, but unfortunately I only managed 2 days, which is a little disappointing. This in many ways is just the reality of trying to make a game while working full time and looking after children. I feel it's important not to beat yourself up too much about small delays like this, as it doesn't really help, and to me this process needs to be treated more like a marathon than a sprint. On a positive note, I'm no longer building this alone. I've got help from a guy who goes by the name of Kutin, who's going to help with the modelling. So far he's created a new model for the Fokker D7, recreated the Fokker Eindecker model, and is well on the way to completing the updated Echo DH2. The quality of his models is much better than mine, while still maintaining a very similar style. One big advantage of his modelling style is that we should be able to create different skins for the aircraft, which should make it really easy to add the ability to play as more countries. The hope is that he'll be able to focus on churning out new aircraft, leaving me to focus on creating new features and content. Despite the extra help, I feel I need to address the elephant in the room, which is the release date. About 10 months ago I penciled in Q1 2024 as the release date. However, it's been obvious for about a month now that I'm just not going to make that deadline. There's not been any one reason for this, it's just been an accumulation of lots of little things. Over the next month I'm going to refrain from any major demo updates with the goal of getting a content and feature work back on track. I'm setting a new deadline of Q2, and I'm hopeful that with the extra help there won't be any need for any further changes to this. Okay, let's get back on with the good stuff. The latest demo build had a whole lot more content and new features. The first new feature is a progression system, which is based on the war's timeline. As you complete missions and earn points, you'll progress through the war, which will unlock aircraft and missions. This system is simpler than what you can expect in the full game, and reflects the limited content in the demo. However, I hope it provides an idea of what to expect. A positive side effect of adding the progression system is that you can now fly all of the aircraft that you can see in the menu once they're unlocked. There's a handful of additional missions to play which should hopefully provide a bit more variety and content. As a consequence of adding the first person view last time, I've made a number of minor improvements to the aircraft models, specifically around the cockpits, as the original models weren't really designed to be viewed up close. These are really just stopgap improvements until we can replace the existing models with the new ones currently in development. Another great feature added was the ability to look around while using the joystick and gamepad in third person view. This allowed me to do away with the other 3 third person cameras that you could switch to using the tab key. I had hoped to get mouse look working as well, but unfortunately the current implementation is just too disorientating to release, so I'm going to have to think about some ways of addressing this before having another go at it. The last item was adding localization for Ukrainian. This work isn't 100% complete yet, as I still need to update the Steam page. However, the game itself is done. Adding support for a new language isn't as hard as you might think, as the bulk of the work can be done by simply adding a new column to a number of Google Sheets. And then Google Translate does all the hard work. This nice little formula takes the English words to be translated and feeds them through the Google Translate function that's built into Google Sheets. The translations aren't always perfect, so I manually check a subset as a way of reducing the likelihood of any major problems getting through. That said, if you do spot any problems with the translations, then just leave a comment below and I'll fix them up in the next release. I'm keen to hear what people think of the demo changes, so please leave a comment below and let me know what you think of the improvements and the new content. One of the big new game mechanics I wanted to work on was the ability to simulate a large-scale infantry assault on the ground below, with the intention of building missions around it. This went really well, however I didn't get as much time to work on it as I wanted to, so it's still very much a work in progress. That said, it's really starting to take shape, and I'm quite pleased with the performance So far I've tested with 100 fully animated soldiers navigating no man's land, while the other side's artillery rain fire from above, laying waste to their ranks. I must say that it's quite mesmerising watching them make their way over the terrain, waiting to see whether they'll make it or not. Because of this, I'm going to make another video in the near future about how it works, as I think people will find it interesting to learn some of the tricks that I've used to keep the performance at an acceptable level, while giving the impression of a large-scale infantry assault. For me, the secret to pulling this stuff off is not in some really clever algorithm or technology. It's simply maximising what you can avoid doing without losing the overall effect. The next 2 weeks will be focused on new content and features for the full game. During this time, we'll be finishing off work on the Infantry Assault and completing more of the E-Pro missions started last month. I'll also be ringing up some of the new plane models, which I'll show off in the next video. Well, that's it for this time. If you enjoyed this, then please hit the like button and click subscribe to continue to follow my progress. If you'd like to know more, then check out the link in the description to the game's Steam page and give the demo a try. And don't forget to wishlist it so you'll be notified when the game is released.